Today's episode of Strong Links is brought to you by Dan and Van, Sleaford and the surrounding area's #1 man with a van service. And now for today's show.
Welcome to Extra Strong Links, a bonus episode of the Strong Links podcast. We're going to bring you the extended interviews with our brilliant guests. These are the bits we couldn't fit into the main show. I'm Rich, and I'm here with my good friend Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Rich.
So, Dan, who have we got coming up in this month's episode of Extra Strong Links?
Well, Rich, in this month's episode, we have a really good chat with radio presenter Dave Brackley, aka DJ Dave B. Now, I've been listening to his shows for years now, so it was really good to finally sit down with him and have a good old chat about local radio.
It was a really nice chat, wasn't it? There's something really chill about these radio DJ dudes, isn't there? It was.
There is a bit. He knew what he was doing. He was flawless.
Yeah. We kind of stumble on our words, but there was nothing from him, was there?
One take wonder.
So let's listen to that one take. Our special guest this month is a local radio DJ. He's been spinning discs since the mid-1980s and has moved into local radio with Heckington Living Radio. In 2022, he moved over to Jazz Funk Soul Radio, where he ran multiple shows weekly. And you can now hear him on Soul Groove Radio, where he has created his own show. Welcome, Dave Brackley, aka DJ Dave B.
Hey.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
So you've been a DJ since the mid-1980s. What was it like doing that back then? Amazing, I imagine.
It was, I have to say, it was nerve-wracking. I do have this very strong memory of my first time publicly out there spinning the disc, you say, because it was all vinyl. And under the guidance of another guy who was sat there on my shoulder just watching me, make sure I was getting things right. And I went to cue a track and I turned off completely the wrong turntable and everything went very quiet. And people just stop and stare at you. And that stuck with me. So I've never done that since. It's a bit easier with digital nowadays, but vinyl, it was no take no prisoners. So it's things have moved on.
You must have really known your craft. You'd have to be.
I'm not so sure. I even now I don't think I do. I'm in awe of people that just can mix either in digitally or vinyl, especially in vinyl. That's quite you're matching tempos and beats the whole time, and that's quite a hard thing to do. But these guys have got down to a fine art, and I tend to stand and look at them while they're doing it. I'm not just listening to the music; I'm watching what they're doing. So it's all good stuff. Yeah.
So it was during lockdown, I believe, that you moved over into local radio, joining the newly launched Heckington Living Radio. What inspired you to get involved with that, and what did that time mean for you and the community?
Well, it inspired me to get into it. I went in with no intentions at all, really. I was actually looking for a mutual friend, Chris Clark, when he'd produced one of his Christmas records, and was looking for outlets to get it played. I thought, hold on, there's a guy in Heckington who started up a radio station. I don't know him, but I'll give him a shout, see what he says. And this guy, Andy Mellick Brown, contacted him via Facebook. We get chatting. He says, oh, yeah, no problem, I'll play that, which he nicely did. And he said, oh, you've DJ'd before, do you fancy doing a show? I was like, never done this before. Within a week, literally, I think that was a Monday, that conversation. On the Friday, I was on air.
Wow.
It literally, luckily, you can do it all through a PC or a Mac, and a laptop. As long as you've got a microphone and an interface to plug it in, you're away. And then it was just what you want to play, go away, work out a playlist, you're on. Wow. So that's what started it off. So it was all a little bit of a shock, really. As far as what it meant to me in the community, it was immense, because we were sat there in that lockdown period, or the tail end of, and people were still very wary about going out. And Andy's big idea then was to, and a great one, was to allow people to have this format where they could send us a message. We had a little chat room, not just on Facebook. You could go on a chat room and actually call it the live lounge. It was great. And in my head, it was a real lounge. You had Chesterfield sofas and all this kind of stuff. And people would come in there and say hi, ask for a request, and if you had it, you'd play it. And so you were giving them a little contact, and they would chat amongst themselves as well, which is even better. So it was all about giving people that opportunity to stay in touch when we were all stuck inside.
And really interactive.
Yes,
well.
It was. It was completely interactive, yeah. The live shows, I mean, there were a couple of recorded shows, but mostly we would try to go out live. And warts and all, there were a few mistakes, you trip up over your words. But it didn't matter because we were having fun and you were allowing people that contact. And I think that was what it meant to me, was giving people that ability to talk to you and you could talk to them.
So it kind of happened. Did it coincide? Was it a lockdown initiative? Heckington Living Radio?
Well, Andy had a radio background in the sense that he'd been involved in amateur radio and had broadcast on a couple of stations in the past, but he's also a bit of a radio ham. So now because he doesn't get too involved in that side of the radio anymore, he does go out on the airwaves talking to people all around the world, with in that amateur radio. And CB is so he'd always had some kind of background with broadcasting and radio.
Yeah. And
that's what led him to set up this internet radio station, which went out around the world. It still does. There were listeners out in America, all the way out, well, just about every continent, really. We were being contacted all the time.
It's crazy. We did some analytics, and we've got listeners in America for this.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you will. Yeah. Especially, I think, with what you guys are providing, which is something which gives them that kind of link to possibly the county they were born in and they've emigrated, with local stories and history about Lincolnshire. People love that, and it's. When I listen to it in the car, if I'm commuting to work, that fills more than half the journey, so it's great.
Yeah. This podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It's always good.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
I think my brother said the same thing, actually. I think he listens to it on his commute, so he's probably going to work as we're speaking.
Drive safe.
Yeah, steady, Phil.
I just find, I do listen to a lot of music, so sometimes it's nice to not listen to it in the car. There are times I'll just drive in nothing. It's the engine noise and I'm gone. Yeah. But podcasts are great, and because there's so much to choose from now, it's nice to find something a little bit different. And I've listened to each one of yours so far, and I just think, there's a great little niche there that you've got, and your enthusiasm comes out as well. You bounce off each other. It's great.
Thank you.
That's good. Thank you. Yeah. Would you say lockdown radio became a real lifeline for people in the community?
Yeah. Even in a small place like Heckington, where there was a lot of elderly listeners who felt very vulnerable, and you gave them that opportunity to have a little bit more of a connection. Because they probably didn't see many people at all, possibly the postman or somebody might go and collect some shopping for them. But all of a sudden there was a number of people that they could have a laugh and a joke with and play music and have a general chit-chat.
Yeah.
Even the vicar in the local church still does a show on a Sunday morning where, he would play music and so on. And I think they used to do a service, actually.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So it just gave people that opportunity.
Yeah.
To do the things they used to do but weren't allowed to at that particular point in time.
As troubling as those times were, one good thing is it did give us that extra time to kind of do these things, and for people to, slow down and take notice what was going on, with things like community radio.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that was very important. You're right, we did take a step back and slow down. Something that we live in this digital age, don't we? And this is going out in the digital media, and we take that for granted. We're always looking at our phones. Sometimes it's nice just to take a step back, take a breath, and then think about what else you can do. And that's what I felt very privileged to do that. It wasn't about me; it was about the station, and the station was and still is quite a proud place to be. It's very good.
I think because we were so isolated at that time, any opportunity to interact with the community you saw the value in it, didn't you?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And even once things eased and we were allowed to go out into the community, Andy developed a way where we could broadcast live from the pavilion in Heckington, or we went down to the mill and did shows there. I did shows from Watergate Yard in town. Yeah. Because as long as you had an internet connection, you were there.
Yeah.
We just meant that it felt like you could really branch out into the wider community as well. And then when you had people listening abroad, I know you weren't going to go off to America and do a show, or that would be nice. Although there are two guys that do shows from the States who were originally listeners, who now broadcast on Heckington Radio.
Really?
Yes, they were, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, well, they were both musicians who had originally sent music in, any chance you could play this on your show? And that was to Andy, and I think he did. And as he does, he approached them, and they now have a show.
Wow. Very good.
Yeah, live from Massachusetts.
So you then made the leap to Jazz Funk Soul Radio, where you ran 3 shows a week, which sounds quite the schedule. What was it like juggling that many shows, and what did you love most about it?
Well, musically, I mean, I'm quite broad in my music taste, but I am a bit of a soul boy when it comes down to it. So to be able to play funk and soul music was quite a big thing, and that's originally even on HLR. I had a Friday night show, which was more of a funk kind of, right, let's get ready for the weekend, let's have a bit of a party, even if you can't go out of the house. And so then to move on to a station which really, that's what its genre was, or still is, it was great. And it felt like I just branched out, like widened my horizons a little bit. That was scary, because all of a sudden you were an even smaller fish in a much bigger pond with guys that have been doing this for many years. And yeah, it was a good opportunity, and I'm glad I took that. So I did that for about 2 years. Yeah, and again, the beauty of the internet, that's going out globally. The 3 shows a week, yeah, each one of those was 2 hours long. And I do one on a Friday morning, one on a Saturday morning, and another one in the evenings. And that's, originally it started off as just 1 show. 2 was okay. I picked up a 3rd because they had a vacant slot because somebody had moved on. So I said, well, okay, I'll fill that gap. Well, I filled that gap for about 10 months, and it's 3 shows a week, 6 hours. But as you know, there's a lot of prep in the background where you're, I mean, for me, researching music, sourcing the music, putting it together in an order, and then you press play. It's so each show, you've probably got 2-3 hours in the evenings prior to, like I'll go live on a Friday morning, but I'll sit there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night normally, just making sure I've got everything how I want it, and have a little run through. So to me, it all has to scan. It's not just a random list of tracks. You want to, have a tempo, if you like. Maybe start off slow, pick it up, bring it down, pick it up again. So yeah, I spend a lot of time doing that.
Mm.
And these go out live, and do you record from home?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I mean, in a way, a very similar setup to what you guys have here, which is it's evolved for me over time. And it started off in the spare bedroom, which was the lockdown studio, which initially I set up for my daughter, Heather. I think you met her, who sings and plays guitar and piano and so on.
Very talented.
Yes, yeah, I'm rather proud, I have to say. And that was, I thought, well, okay, let's have an ability for her to just record some stuff, and she could have a little play around. And that was literally in the back bedroom. Over time, that moved downstairs into, what was a study, if you like, in my house, which is now if I'm working from home, it's my home office, but the other side of the desk is the studio. So I can literally just slide the chair across. And in there I'll have a mixing desk, the computer, my microphone, and that's about it really. That's all I need. As you know, it's everything's on screen. Yeah, so it's evolved. I've tried different bits of kit over the time as well, different microphones. Yeah.
The setup is much smaller now, isn't it? You don't need too much gear to.
You don't. You're right.
To get going
and I think one of the things that you do need to consider if you're doing anything like that is the room you're in and the acoustics of the room you're in, because if you've not set things up right and balanced your sound, it'll come out tinny or flat, maybe too bassy. Yeah. So, sometimes, I mean, if I try something new, if I've gone out and bought another microphone or something to add onto a mixing desk, I'll do a test recording and just see how that comes across. Then I'll be happy going live. The last thing I want to do is buy something and the first time I try it is live on air, because that's just fraught with potential disaster. So it's, yeah.
All these things that go on in the background, and people just switch their radios on, and I'd expect to hear it, but all the preparation.
I know we all know the big stations, as your Radio 1s and your Virgin Radio and all this, where they have obviously a lot of money, professional sound studios and so on, and producers and sound engineers, which can sit there and balance everything out. The average Joe that's doing a show like mine, or like the many others that are out there, does all that for themselves. And we're not doing it to the same level, of course, but you have to try and get it as best you can. Because after all, you're putting a media out there for people to listen to.
Well, that gap's getting smaller now, isn't it?
Oh,
the quality gap.
Yeah.
With technology, it's relatively easy to produce a good sound.
Absolutely.
These days.
I mean, I bought a piece of equipment about 2 years ago. Didn't start using it until halfway through this year. It's called a Rodecaster, and it has built-in software. So if you've got the right kind of microphone, it will automatically give you a preset for that mic. You can adjust it. Likewise for your headphones, it balances the sound into your headphones. So as you say, there's a lot of software that does things for you, but you still need to make sure you're not clipping. And, you know that way your sound level's gone too high, and then you get distortion, your gain's up too high.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. It definitely does make it easier.
Yeah.
And more compact. I can literally pack my stuff into a small rucksack.
Yeah.
And take it away and go and broadcast them somewhere else, which I do fairly regularly.
Yeah.
So it's My other half's kitchen has been a studio on many an occasion.
Okay, so you've now launched the Soul Groove Radio Friday breakfast show.
Yes.
Tell us about the vibe of that show and what makes it uniquely you.
I find it a really good time slot to broadcast, even though it's 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. live on a Friday morning. It's the breakfast show. It's kind of like the drive time.
Yeah.
And you can tell that people do message you. It's like, I'm just having a cuppa before breakfast, and then I'm getting ready for work, or I'm listening in the car, that kind of thing. So that really feeds your fire, if you like. To think that it's if this was the big wide world of broadcasting, that would be the equivalent of the Radio 1 breakfast show, which is, I think that and drive time are prime time slots. And even only doing it once a week, it's great. It just feels good. It's lively. People are giving you feedback. I'm up early anyway, so to me it's an extra hour in bed because I'm up at 5 to commute. So it's
wow.
Getting up at 6 is fine. And I listen to the show beforehand, just to get my ear in, as it were, which is another hour live show. A guy called Kevin O'Brien, who's always on before me on a Friday, and then we do a little. We don't talk doing a handover, but we're messaging away in the background.
Right.
And then at 7 a.m. he's off, I'm on, and off we jolly well go.
Wow.
Yeah, I like it. Like it a lot.
And what sort of music would you play on?
Well, again, that's all. I mean, a good starter is there's often things like Earth, Wind and Fire or Jamiroquai would be a good way. I always try to start off upbeat, fairly lively. It's like, come on, we're off. It's Friday, the weekend's here, kind of thing. That's always the message. And then just intersperse it with old and new, really. I do look back, and we were talking just before about artists like James Brown and Prince. So there's a rich heritage to go in and like delve into, if you like, and pick tracks that fit the vibe, and also they're not too short or not too long. And I have a couple of features as well, where in the first hour I'll do what's called the 3 before 8 Northern Soul triple. So there'll be 3 back-to-back Northern Soul tracks. The thing is, they are quite short, usually about 2.5-3 minutes long. So you've got to time that just right and then get them in. And then in the second hour there'll be 3 tracks from Philadelphia International Records. That's the fabulous Philly Friday, as I like to call it. So it's so they're the regular features that I'll do on the show every week. And you may get people might say, "Oh, can you play this?" They'll send me it beforehand. One listener does try to catch me out most weeks, where he'll message me live and say, "Oh, it's so and so's birthday today." It could be James Brown's birthday. It could be Aretha Franklin's birthday. Any chance of a track? You haven't got it on the playlist. It's like, oh, okay. So you go and find it, put it in. But again, because it's digital, it's quite easy to do that in a way. It's just that you're up against the time pressure.
So do you have a library of tracks and artists
on a hard drive and memory sticks? Now, what I do need to do is go and categorise it a little bit better. But of course, you can search. So you can search by artist or track name or album. I probably need to put them a bit more into genre, really, get a bit more organised. But yes, I do have that library. Not as many as some, but I'm always adding to it. if I'm putting together a playlist and I've heard, there's a new track out, or you're looking in a number of soul charts or funk charts, you can then go and source that online. Through companies like TrackSource, where you pay a couple of quid and you've bought yourself a new track and you own that digital copy of that then. But if you've gone out and bought, I've started collecting vinyl again actually, so which I love. In fact, I did get one today actually. It arrived this morning, which I was quite happy about.
What was it?
It's called Spring Revisited, and it's to do with a record label called Spring, which is old funk and soul from going way back into the 70s. So it's a bit of an anthology. And the beauty of having the vinyl is you can say, well, I own that then, so I can now source a digital copy and play that. So that might get a couple of tracks played from it next show.
Yeah. Wow. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well,
you can't beat vinyl, can you?
Oh, I love it.
It's kind of a cliche, but you can't. There's something about the sound of vinyl that...
But also, it's the whole experience of... I got quite excited when that arrived this morning, when the postman turned up with a suspiciously square parcel. And you open it up and then there's a sleeve with artwork and sleeve notes, which you can actually read, and you're not trying to screw your eyes up to look at a CD cover, as was. CDs, for those of you out there, if you remember. And this one's a gatefold album, so you open it up and there it is. It's like, oh, wow, look at this. And I get a bit fascinated by it's almost like a religious experience of taking a vinyl out for the first time.
Yeah.
Holding it correctly.
There is something really special about that.
It's tactile.
Holding it carefully. And,
yeah. And then carefully putting onto a turntable and not bouncing the needle across the vinyl.
Yeah.
It's they're three older brothers, and I think I've inherited that from them, really, is that reverence of looking at an LP.
Yeah.
Digital tracks, great, you can carry thousands around on one memory stick, but it hasn't got any soul, has it really?
I agree, yeah.
We're old school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in terms of building your brand on the radio show, how do you go about creating something that stands out in a fairly crowded radio scene? Is that a challenge?
If I'm honest, I don't think I've put that much thought into it. Things kind of just fell into place. My Friday show is called Thank Funk It's Friday, and it just seemed to... you've got to be careful how you say that sometimes.
He said funk.
Yeah, I did say funk.
We'll bleep it.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a play on words, but that's general, that's everybody's general kind of thing, is that, oh yeah, thank God it's the weekend.
Yeah.
So that's where that came from, that particular element of the brand, if you like.
I was thinking Friday is the best day to have a radio show because it's the best work day.
Well, yeah, everyone's on a wind down
of the week, isn't it?
Yeah. We're all looking forward to the weekend. People may have another day at work, but you can get them going a little bit. Maybe get them to sneak their AirPods in while they're in the office as well, or turn the volume up and get everyone dancing on the tables. Let's do it,
Yeah.
Which I do encourage them to do on occasion. It's, the rest of the brand. For me, that whole DJ Dave B, as it is, it started off as just DJ Dave B, as in the letter B, and then one of the listeners on HLR started putting BEE. And little B emojis in the messages, and that stuck. So that's now what it is, So the B, as in I actually got some stickers made in town with the B on it. I'll show you actually. This is not good for radio, folks, but there you go. You can actually see a logo there with the B as a DJ,
wow,
and he's
really
using
cool.
his sting. So that's one of the tattoo artists in town.
So give him a name check.
Andy Hunter works at Hazard's Emporium. Who's done a fair bit of ink on me over the past couple of years. Very, very talented artist. I said, well, I'm looking for a bit of a logo, a bit of an image. He says, I know you like your music. I know you're doing some DJing. I said, well, I'd like the B. And this is what he came up with, is this, the eyes of the B are almost like headphones. And it's got one hand spinning a disc.
Yeah.
And the B sting, is the stylus on the other record.
It's brilliant.
And it's such a clever... way that he's done that.
Just came up with it.
Yes, that was all his.
Clever guy.
Yeah. And then his wife produces these stickers. So I thought, okay then, right, I'll be one of your customers.
He really does have a brand. It's amazing. Is that why you wear the
Well,
the B badge?
the B badge is kind of it is a kind of
That's very cool.
It's just it's something that just grew out of nothing really. I probably didn't, as I say, didn't put that much thought into it originally, and the BEE was an accident because somebody else was using, said, "Oh no, this is you." They sort of said, "No, it's Dave B." "No, it's BEE." It's yeah.
It's really good. Yeah, no, it's Is that something that most DJs do? Come up with a sort of brand, or
Yeah, I think so. Whether it's just how they expand on or shorten their name, and through their shows as well. Each of their shows will take on an identity, if you like, depending on what time slot it is in the day.
Yeah.
What their particular mood is. Because you might have a late night show which is a little bit quieter, it's chilling off into the early hours, that kind of thing. Which I did for a little while on Soul Groove. That was my first show. Was sort of every other Thursday night from 10 through till midnight, which is very much a wind down, easy tracks, and weren't kicking out house bangers, as it were. So it's yeah.
What's your process for preparing for a show? Are you sort of a meticulous planner, or do you prefer to sort of go with the groove on the day?
I would say go with the groove building up to the day. So obviously by the time you get to Friday morning, it needs to be pretty much nailed down. There is a certain amount of flexibility. So as I say, if somebody does contact me and say, well, how about slipping this one in? If I can do that quickly, I will do that. So, you'll probably have to drop something out because you've only got 2 hours.
Yeah.
Now I will probably go and source around about 30 tracks to fill 2 hours. Chances are I won't play all of those because on our station we do actually have 3 ad breaks on the half hour. So 7:30, 8, 9 and 8:30 I'll be playing ads. So there's about 3 minutes there where I'm not playing music. I do try and mix the tracks in so there's no discernible break, as it were. Not everybody does that. It's just the way I like to do it. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, I'm probably sitting there looking at what I think I'd like on my playlist that week. I do have a featured artist where, I'll do 3 tracks from that artist on each show. So you mentioned Prince when we were talking earlier. I have had Prince as a featured artist, actually. So, okay, Prince is the artist this week. Let's go and find 3 good Prince tracks. That's not hard,
Yeah.
There's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
And those tracks will be spaced out throughout the show. And each week there's a different artist. And it may be a band, it may be an artist, it may even be another DJ that mixes and so on. I've done that recently too. So that's the basic framework. I've got the Northern Soul, the Philly, the featured artist. That's effectively 9 tracks that I need to find. So it just leaves me another 21 to find, And you'll always have an idea of how you want to play it. And try not to repeat too much. So if you played a particular track the week before, unless it's a chart breaker, we do get new stuff that comes in and you might want to try and push something a little bit. Not that we're getting anything from that, but new artists might want a bit of a help, bit of a leg up. I'll probably repeat their track for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
What chart would you be looking at? Because there's so many charts these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of digital charts.
There's like one chart when
I know.
When we were growing up.
The top of the pops chart basically, wasn't it? Which is out there on Radio 1. Yeah. There's all sorts now, and you do get, and there's R&B charts, there's a UK soul chart. That's one that I'll probably go and look at a lot. But I mentioned a company called TrackSource earlier. They have their chart breakers where you can see new artists that are coming in or tracks that may have been revived or remixed, and they're featured in there.
Right.
And you can choose to whether you want to buy those, download them, and play them.
Yeah.
But I also, I do get sent some stuff as well. I mean, I don't get as much as some, nowhere near, but you establish a rapport with artists and record labels as you do this, and they'll email you with new releases.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
I know guys that get lots, hundreds every week. I'd probably get about 10, but that's great.
And
I'm always looking at my email, say, okay, yeah, I've got this artist to send me this, or this particular record company has got new releases, and they'll send you either demo or master tracks that you can then download. And often there'll be the radio edit, a remix, an instrumental, so you can choose whether you want to use different versions.
Yeah.
And then again fleshes out my playlist. So it's really good.
With that sort of suite of tracks, do you sometimes play instrumental or
Possibly, yes, yeah. I always listen. So, for instance, you may get an email with 5 versions of the same track. I will listen to all 5, see which one I like and what one fits best in with the show that week as well. Now, you may get, there's a couple of artists may send you a ballad. Well, a ballad's not really going to work with my show on a Friday morning because that's not the sort of vibe that I'm going for. But I'll share that with other people, and then they can play it on their shows if they choose.
Yeah.
And some artists I'll get more from, others you don't hear from that often. But yeah, they all keep in touch, and it's great.
You've been part of different stations and communities. What do you think local independent radio brings that the big stations can't?
I think it's exactly what you say. It's independent for a start. It's not beholden to an organisation as such. I mean, obviously you have standards that you adhere to. We will adhere to the kind of Ofcom standards. We're not beholden to them because we're not a mainstream radio station, but you do.
It's digital.
I think it depends on how you do it.
Overseen by Ofcom or
not the way we're doing it at the moment, no. But you still adhere to those guidelines. So, but I think what I'm getting to is, like BBC, for instance, are very much public funded, and they have very definite ways they have to put things out there. And then you get Virgin, where they bought up a lot of independent stations. Now, Heart is another one where there is no Links FM anymore as such, which I think is a great shame. Because when you have, whether it's a mainstream local station like BBC Lincolnshire or Links FM as was, that was local identity. And that's really, really important. And that's what you guys are doing now with your podcast as well, is bringing local things in. Otherwise, it's just bland.
Well, we had BBC Lincolnshire.
Yes.
And we had Links FM.
Yeah.
You had a state-funded radio station and then a commercial radio station that represented Lincolnshire.
Yes, exactly that. And I think that brought balance with the two as well. Which unfortunately, I don't think you get that so much now. I think a lot of people probably don't realise is the big companies have bought up these stations. And yes, you will still have a number of local presenters, but that's interspersed with syndicated shows, which are going out all around the country and potentially all around the world. So they're not local. That's not bringing you your music, your news to you in your home. You could be sat in Basingstoke listening to the same show, and it's not quite the same.
No, I totally agree. I listened to BBC Lincolnshire, and certain times of the day, it's definitely not representing this area.
I think you can tell.
Yeah.
And a lot of it would be pre-recorded as well, and they'll use it to fill the gaps in between those few local shows which are now going out. So my personal view is, if anyone's out there and wants to start up another Lincolnshire local radio station, do it. It's actually not that hard. There's lots of different companies out there which can provide a medium for you to do it. There's a lot of free software which allows you to do it. And yes, there's a certain cost in setting up and the running of a station through licenses and so on, because we still have to adhere to the PRS licensing. Because if we're going to play a Prince track, royalties from that track will go to Prince's estate and so on. Because that's only fair, isn't it? You're playing somebody's music, they should get the benefit from it.
Definitely.
Especially these days where they get a pittance from digital media, i.e. Spotify.
I was talking to someone the other day, and there's definitely the model, the sort of streaming model now is just makes it so difficult to make money.
It does, and I think
they have to rely on touring and live shows, and
that's hard, and it costs as well for them to do that.
Yeah,
for one live show, there's a layout for a venue and so on. You've got to make sure you're selling a requisite number of tickets before you even break even. That must be terribly difficult for any performing artist to do. The other scary thing that we're starting to see is DJs now is AI is already coming in. There's AI tracks that, unless you were told it was AI generated.
I've listened to some recently.
It's scary.
You some of them you just wouldn't know.
No. My personal stance is, at this point in time, I'm not going to play any AI generated stuff.
Do you think that'll happen?
It already is. Yeah, I know a couple of guys that have played, not on my station, but I know a couple of guys that have played AI tracks.
Right.
As in live out at a venue, but also live on air as well.
Wow.
And to me, that's just not what this is about.
Hmm.
You know, I think music comes from inside, comes from your deep down, somewhere inside you is where your music should come from, and where it sits when you listen to it as well.
Yeah, but it's part of the human experience.
It completely, yeah. It's not an algorithm. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And that's what AI is starting to do. I'm all for AI. I think it's great. There's so
Has
many
its
good
place.
things it can bring, but it does have its place. Yes, Dan, I totally agree with
But
you.
yeah, certain areas of life or creativity should be protected.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, I mean, art, music, any kind of art, music is art, isn't it? Should come from humans, in my personal and humble opinion.
Precisely. So, Dave, as an experienced radio DJ, what hints and tips could you give two guys creating their own podcast they're just a few shows in, you know, what words of advice would you pass on to them?
This is really why we've got you.
Experienced, okay, right. Well, we chatted when we were sitting having coffee a while back, didn't we?
Yeah.
And one of the things I said to Dan was, just be you. And I think that's exactly what you guys do. When I listened to the first Strong Links Heckinson show, what I liked about that is you didn't even have a name at that point, so it was quite funny to like,
Or a clue.
yeah. But it's you bounce off each other, which is what works. It's not this contrived, scripted environment. You know, it's just two guys enjoying what you're doing, and I think if you can carry on doing that, it's just going to go from strength to strength. Really, that's the best advice I could give anyone. If you're going to be, doesn't matter whether you're doing a radio show, doesn't matter what the music genre is, whether it's talk radio. If you're going to try to be something you're not, people will hear it, and it will stand out. So it's just be Dan and Rich, you know, just
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's only one person that we can each be.
yeah.
Dan, and
That's true.
Yeah, just be yourself.
Oh God.
Yeah, and I think that comes about how, and you know, the shows that you've done and how you talk to your guests is great. You know, it's literally just flows back and forth, and you know, long may it stay that way.
I think we're genuinely interested in the people we speak to,
and that comes out. No, I particularly enjoyed the paranormal. You know, that was fantastic. You know, and the spooky clip. I've listened to that a few times.
What do you think?
That puts the hairs up on the back of your neck, doesn't it? It's this is because obviously you've done two of those. Didn't you? You did the first one, then the extra.
Yes.
I actually listened to the extra one quietly at work the other day. I hope my boss isn't listening to this. But I put my earbuds in and I was listening to that, and it's good. It's quite a broad subject, that, isn't it? There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot locally as well.
I know. I didn't realise how kind of spooky it is around here.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, a lot of history, isn't there? And,
a lot of old buildings, and you know, a lot of things have happened.
Yeah. We were just talking before we were recording, weren't we?
Yeah.
All the you know, the old buildings locally and all the stories behind them. Yeah.
Well, each one of those has a history, doesn't it? Now, whether that manifests itself in anything else, I don't know. But I like to keep an open mind. You know, I think it's pretty undeniable to any of your listeners that have listened to that clip, that audio file. Yeah, there's something there. That's quite makes you stop and think.
Yeah.
So, Dave, we learnt a fascinating fact about you recently. 2 free fall skydives. That's not something that every DJ can claim to have done. What inspired you to take the plunge?
Literally
take the very good, very good. Yeah. I think it's something that I'm a great believer that every so often you've got to push your boundary, push your bubble a little bit, haven't you? You know, not burst it, because that would be a little bit dodgy, wouldn't it? But just push yourself. And this initially, the first one came out about something that was going on at work, where we had, like a lot of places, we have branded workwear and so on. And my boss at the time came up with this idea of, I know what you wore last summer, a bit of a play on I know what you did last summer, the film, you know. And he wanted everyone to just have pictures of them wherever they wanted or whatever they were doing with the branded logo, which we all went off and did. And I thought, hold on, what am I going to do here? And a couple of people, I was in a choir. I was in a choir that was based out sort of the Sleaford Heckington area, and a couple of the girls in there said, "Oh, we're going to do a parachute jump. Do you fancy coming along?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay. Not for charity or anything. We're just going to stump up the cash and go and do it." And this was just south of Stamford, so not too far to go. And I thought, "Ooh, now I know what I can do for a really good picture." So I actually got a shot of me just about to go out of the aircraft, pointing at the logo on my shirt, with the instructor going, "It's a tandem jump, you're strapped to your instructor." Funny enough, I won. And it was such a buzz, such a thrill. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really loved it. And you get to land, and I felt like I was 6 foot taller.
Yeah.
You think, "Oh wow, that was amazing." And about a year later, it was my middle child's 16th birthday, and 16 is the age where you can go for a jump. And I said to him, "Would you like to do a free fall parachute jump?" "Oh yeah." So we went back and did another one, and he was over the moon. And it's just a great thing to go and do,
So how high did
we
you
jumped
jump
at 15,000 feet, and the first one was actually it was what they call a sunset jump. So this was late August. It was a beautiful summer's evening.
Nice.
The sun was just about to go down, so you can imagine the colour of the sky, and you could see all the way across to Rutland Water, all this kind of stuff, and it was just.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're only free falling for about a minute, and that is about 120 odd mile an hour as you free fall, and then it's quite noisy because obviously all that wind rush going past your ears, and then they pop the chute and it goes silent.
So you're free falling for about a minute
Yeah.
from 15,000 feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not long really, is it? But
I don't know, a minute.
Yeah.
Free fall.
Trust me, you're not looking at your watch.
Right. I'd say that's quite long to be.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, what the guy that I jumped with, it's the same guy on both occasions, said to me that he'd be surprised how many people just shut their eyes and scream the whole way down. And you think, well, why did you pay for this experience?
That would be me, I have to say.
I don't know, maybe I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, but it was, it's going to sound really cheesy, but it's quite a spiritual thing in a way, It just made you think, just done something that way, way over and above what you would normally go into. This wasn't walking to the shops and back,
Yeah.
And especially that sunset one, it was just that extra dynamic of you're looking around going, wow, this is pretty damn amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must you must do something like that, and then it must affect you in a positive way.
I would say so, yeah. It did me personally, and I know it did my son Josh as well. I know a lot of people go and do it, but each one has their own individual experience.
Yeah.
As I say, it made me feel that I was just taller all of a sudden, and maybe it makes you feel like a bit of a better person because you've done something really pure in a way.
Yeah.
It was good.
Wow.
Had a bit of a Cheshire cat grin afterwards.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to send Dan off on one.
Why?
You could
I'm
actually
scared of
record
flying,
it coming down. Oh, don't worry about the flying bit. It's fine. Safest way to
Rich,
travel.
I've got an idea. We could do the first podcast from the skies, free falling podcast show.
Yeah.
Or feature.
Hey, do you know what? I don't think it's been done. Let's get it sorted.
I think,
World's first.
Yeah. Well, I'm scared of flying, so it's getting me in the plane would be a challenge, and then
Well,
get me
it's the
to jump
falling
out.
you got to worry about, Dan, not the
That's
flying.
true. That's true. Yeah. Somebody said to me, "What is it, mate? Why are you scared of flying?" I said, "Well, it's not the flying; it's the crashing."
Safest form of travel.
They
Statistically.
say.
Don't work in the industry. Don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. We've got a couple of more questions for you.
Sure.
Question we ask all our guests: where is your favourite place to visit in Lincolnshire?
I would absolutely 100% say my favourite place where I love to go with it on my own or with my partner is Woodhall Spa. I love Woodhall Spa. I even have a favourite coffee shop on the Broadway where
Is it Kitchenetta?
It is Kitchenetta, and you knew, didn't you? The coffee's damn good.
It's great, isn't it?
And you can buy a nice cake or a sausage roll.
Yeah.
And there's just something about, strolling up and down the Broadway, nice little kind of boutique shops. The delicatessen there is fantastic, I have to say.
Yeah.
And if anyone likes focaccia bread, that's the place to go and buy it too. It is A1. It just has a really nice, calm feel to it. Even when it's busy, it feels like a really nice place to be. Rain or shine, I will happily go and sit there on a winter's day and watch the world go by with a nice cup of coffee. And we sometimes take the dog for a stroll around in Osler's plantation, off to the edge of the town there. It's just got so much going on, but it feels a little bit like you've stepped back in time almost.
It's got Christmas time in Woodall Spa is really magical for me. Yeah. There's something very special about the place. It's got a different vibe
Completely
to anywhere else that I can think of.
And as you walk or drive up and down the Broadway there, and you can see there's it's where I think it's the British Golf Society has its headquarters there. So it's just near where the Golf Hotel is. It's literally just down. But there's lots of beautiful houses and buildings which span many different eras. There's some Art Deco, there's some Victorian, there's some even older. And you can see how it's evolved and grown along that sort of. Yeah. And of course, the railway used to go there, and it did have the spa, which is it's the Kinema as well, which is where the old spa's right next to that.
Are they developing that?
They are, yeah. We were up there weekend before last, actually, and they are doing some development work on it. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but hopefully it'll be an asset. But the Kinema is just a hell of a place to go as well.
A little gem.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. But again, with the whole Wurlitzer organ and all this kind of stuff, it's.
If ever we have a guest come and stay, we'll always take them there.
Yeah. That would be a good one to maybe feature maybe at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure we will at some point.
Definitely be up for it. Everywhere you go in Woodall Spa, it's just really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you say, the cinema.
It's got a great pub.
Swimming pool. Yeah, the pub.
Yeah.
We know our mate Trev runs that.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Kitchenetta on a. What I love about that place is it's relatively small, isn't it?
It is,
and you're sitting right next to someone you don't know. You're all crammed in, but it's got a really good atmosphere there.
We have struck up many conversations with people we've never met before. Sat at Kitchenetta.
Yeah.
Seriously, where you're way past the end of your coffee, but you're carrying on chatting, and then sorry, we've got to go, and they'll stand up and off they go. And it's often about dog walking or but it's just nice. Everyone's friendly, and it's
So what's nice about this county? People are so friendly.
It's funny because I spend a lot of time. Karen, my other half, lives down just outside of London, and it's very different. We'll often go for a walk on like Hampstead Heath and so on, and I'm like morning. It's nobody says hello around here. I say, well, that's the problem. Up here we do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying hi or just giving someone a smile and a nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great choice. This Woodall Spa is lovely place.
And if you've not been, visit. It's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
And where can people find you?
I have an Instagram page which is DJ Dave B on Instagram, which I'll only really use for music. And I've started trying to increase my posts on there. Sometimes share my daughter's music on there as well, which is always a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
And then also from the radio perspective, I'll shout out to Heckington Living Radio, which is where I started. If you just type that into Google, that'll come up. So from a local perspective, that's definitely worth listening into. But from my show goes out on a Friday morning, 7 till 9 a.m. On Soul Groove Radio, which is www.soulgrooveradio.co.uk. And there's an app, or a lot of people just listen via the internet. And the beauty of digital radio is that it can go out all the way around the world. We've got listeners in Australia, all across Europe, Hong Kong.
Wow.
Because they can it doesn't matter what time of day it is. But also, what I tend to do as well is you can pre-record. Well, you can record your show as you're doing it live, and then I put it up on a medium called Mixcloud. So people can just log into Mixcloud. It's free to do, and you can just click on the link and you can listen to all the different shows, whether it's mine or anybody else's. And there's a lot of different formats on there. There's spoken word shows, there's podcast kind of format. People will just do an hour's worth of mixed music, but Mixcloud's a great thing. I love this digital media we can all now share and use to our advantage.
Yeah, it's definitely made it more democratic, or is that the word?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way of putting it. Yes,
It's
because it
made
gives
it
everybody the opportunity.
Yeah.
So it is democratic, isn't it?
So you can
in that
express
sense?
yourself. It's just like having a blank canvas, and you can just express yourself in whatever way you want.
And to me, it doesn't matter if you've got 1 or 1 million listeners. It doesn't matter. You made the effort and you put it out there, and people will listen, and they'll learn. I mean, that's the thing. The beauty of podcasts for me. I mean, I've discovered them fairly recently. Is there's a lot to learn, and it's a great way to do it. If you're stuck in a car for an hour, put a podcast on.
Yeah.
Because you can choose your subject. There's so much out there. I'll often listen to them at night as I'm sort of drifting off as well, for half an hour.
I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to read, but now I just fall asleep with a book on my lap, on my chest. But podcast is great.
Yeah.
So that's a fantastic medium.
And if you've got an interest, so I like a lot of things, but watches, for example.
Yeah, me too.
You can really geek out on on a really niche subject.
Yeah. And let's face it, I think YouTube did this as well, didn't they? That if there's a subject, somebody will have either made a podcast or a video about it.
Yeah.
So you can learn either how to physically do something or how to, enhance your understanding of a subject, whether it's historical or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I was saying to Rich just before we started this that last weekend we went and did a Fire of London walk. It's a 2-hour walk around the site of the original Great Fire.
I've done that with my son. Yeah,
it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant.
And anything that allows you to go and do that and learn, I think, is important.
Yeah.
Or just enjoy, whether it's music or comedy. I listen to a lot of comedy on the radio as well. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
A lot of the old shows are getting repeated and they're great.
Well, like Round the Horn and
Round the Horn, one of my favourites. Yeah, that and I've been listening to recently. There's Dad's Army, where they actually they redid the entire TV series for radio.
Right.
And that's all out there, all the original.
Oh, is that what happened? I thought that the radio
it's
show
the other way
came...
around. Yeah.
It's the other way round.
Often it's radio first, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how Hancock came about, wasn't it? He was radio show and then it spun off into TV.
That's right.
But you get all these fantastic, like Sid James and all that, they all crop up in these things.
Yeah.
Kenneth Williams.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, such a great, he's a great comedy kind of actor, really.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff.
Great.
So I think, from a medium now, radio, podcasts and so on, it's booming. It's kind of an explosion of media coming back out there. And I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great for, us, because we can be quite nostalgic, but also for younger people, for all you younger people out there. They can go and do their own thing.
Yeah.
And experiment. What a great way to do it. Like you say, a blank canvas.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us in our studio this evening. It's been fascinating listening to your story and getting your insight into local radio and everything. So, thank you so much for joining us here. It's been great.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's
Thanks,
been an
Dave.
absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's and it's a great thing that you guys are doing. So let's
Thank you.
let's carry on.
We'll be listening Friday, won't we?
Yeah.
This Friday.
You're
not on this Friday. It's
Okay.
The following week. I'll message you and let you know what's going on.
Okay,
But,
brilliant. And I'll send you my Prince
Please
tracks.
do. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Get your request in, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thanks, Dave.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dave. So that was DJ Dave B. Make sure to check out his show on Soul Groove Radio. We'll have the link to that in our show notes.
And be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you next month. Goodbye.
Cheerio!
Today's episode of Strong Links was brought to you by Danson Property Services, where quality work meets local care. From reliable maintenance jobs to property refurbs, call Danson Property Services today. See you next time.